Rahubat, long live the great Mentu Hotep, November 25th, 1960, July 3rd, 2026. I remember the first time I met Mentu. It was at the Charles Wright Museum at the African American Festival in 2018. So as I'm walking around, I seen a group of brothers wearing black and gold, and I knew there was some Nuwapian brothers. So I'm like, let me go over there, and build with them, what I'm saying? Let me go over there and see what they got on the table. So when I walks over there to the table, they had the pot to rocks, the master secrets, and they had the actual facts on the table. So I'm like, I'm about to spend some money today. I'm about to spend some money today. I'm about to break some bread. So the brother that was selling the books, he started building with me. Me and him started, talking science. We going back and forth. And, he was telling me about the master teacher. He was telling me about, Baba Yanu. He was telling me about, Dr. Malachi Z. York. So we going back and forth. And as me and him going back and forth, I seen the brother come over there. He came walking over there, and everybody stopped what they was doing. Like all the Nuwapian brothers, they stopped what they was doing, walks over to the guy that was walking to the table and started giving him handshakes, started giving that. And I'm thinking to myself, whoever this guy is the man. Like, this is the man right here. This is the man right here. That's like when you on the block and a dude pull up, hops out the rip, and everybody on the block runs up to him. Everybody happy and everybody, giving handshakes and daps and all that. Whoever that is, that's the man. That's somebody important. And it was Mentu Hotep. That's who it was. So I ended up buying a pot to rock. I might be paraphrasing. I think it was called I Was There, Riches Here. I think that's the name of it. So when I bought the book, a flyer came with it, and it was the flyer to the bookstore on Gratiot. I'm like, cool, because I didn't even know Nuwapians had a bookstore in the city. I didn't even know, because prior to that, I was going over to the flea market in Warren, over there on the Crender and 8 Mile. It was a brother over there selling books, but it was the older books. Books like, Dr. York versus the computer. He was selling the older scrolls. He was selling the older books. So when I started going to the bookstore on Gratiot, I was buying the Hereafter doctrine. I was buying the pot to rocks, the actual facts, and the master secrets. So Mentu told me, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. I want you to only study the pot to rocks, the actual facts, and the master secrets. I want you to study the Hereafter doctrine, because that's where we are right now. Now, anything before that, the older scrolls, if you're gonna buy it, that's cool. But just understand the context in which those books was written. And I totally understood what he was talking about. Because if you're a newcomer, most likely, you just seen some videos of the master teacher, teaching. And it was probably some videos from the 90s, the 80s, where he was Imam Isa. And you really wouldn't get it not knowing that that was a different school of thought. We're not in that school of thought no more. This is not the Ansar days. We in the, this is the Hereafter, after the Holy Tablets. So that's what he was explaining to me, and I totally understood what he was talking about. So I was going to the bookstore every weekend. So the way it was set up, Anuki, she was teaching the language. So she the one that taught me Rahubat. She was like, if you don't know anything else, at least know that word. Like, you at least got to know that word. For starters, you at least got to know that word, Rahubat and Radu. You at least got to know those words. And Mentu, he was teaching the doctrine. So she was teaching language and he was teaching the doctrine, and it was a beautiful thing. I used to love going there every weekend. I definitely had a good time. I definitely miss those days. I really do. So I'm going to say about the last year and a half. Now, this is after the bookstore. This is when the bookstore was closed. I would still buy books from Mentu. And me and him had a meetup spot over there on Gratiot and Connors in the parking lot of Bank of America, right across the street from the city airport. So we'd meet up and I'll buy books from him, in a parking lot. And this is what I made sure. When I pulled up on Mentu, anytime I pulled up on Mentu, I knew that I had to have a question to ask him, because if you roll up on Mentu and you don't have a question to ask him, he's going to look at you like you owe him some money. Like, it's almost like a sign of disrespect. Like if you pull up and you don't have nothing to ask, like you don't do that, like if you, if you cool with Mentu, you better have some questions on deck. You know what I'm saying? Like, you better have something to ask, because this is how he builds. Mentu is a scientist, and this is how he builds. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ask him a question and then he's just start building from that point on. Like, Mentu was a master teacher. He could take the unexplainable and make it explainable. And this is what great teachers do. And this is what master teachers do. And the last book that I bought from Mentu was this book right here, Wu Nuwapu Studies 1 through 27. And I bought this in 2024. So this is the last one that I bought. I done bought so many books from Mentu. It's crazy. I done bought. If you want to include like all the Patriarchs and actual facts, I done probably done bought over 200 books from Mentu easy. So he would definitely be missed. After that, I heard that he went to Georgia, and then, he shot some text messages. Like, we'd shoot some text messages every once in a while. And he shot me a text message like earlier this year. That was kind of like the last time I talked to him. And he'd definitely be missed. He'd definitely be missed. Mentu was one of a kind. Like, he would definitely be missed. Long live the great Mentu Hotep. November 25th, 1960, July 3rd, 2026. Wadu.